Hey guys, good afternoon. I was going to talk a little bit about scrapes today. Had some guys message me asking me about my scrape regimen, how I go about making these scrapes and locating deer. What I like to do is I like to go into a feeding area, like you may have a bean field, a corn field, maybe it's a big oak flat, something like that. And the deer will tolerate human scent there more than they will in the bedding areas. So I stay away from the bedding areas here in the summertime. So I'll go in around these bean fields and I'll find an overhanging branch somewhere around the deer trail, something that's already there natural. I don't want to go in and hang a branch or something. Some folks do, some folks hang ropes and stuff, and I found that to sometimes if you're on private land, but if it'll work. But if you hunting pressured deer the way that I hunt pressured deer, those things it just scare deer to death. So find a natural overhanging branch over a cornfield or a bean field, and you'll see where these deer are using in corn right now. Standing corn, you'll see where deer's been busting in and out. You can go right there and find you an overhanging branch. Matter of fact, you don't even have to have a branch, but it's good to have a branch. Pile the ground out real good. Take you a stick or a hoe or whatever you got with you, a rake. Pile that ground out real good. Get you some deer lure, whatever kind you like. This here's that Paul Pollock's. He's got many different selections you can choose from. I get that ultimate scrape kit, and it's got interdigital, preorbital, tarsals, and you just go in there and make your scrape. If you can't afford a product, that's fine. You can use your own urine, or you don't even have to put nothing there. That once they see that ground clearance, they're gonna go over and look at it, because that's like if you came in and somebody tore the carpet out of your living room and you walked over there, you're gonna be wondering where my carpet goes. So that's the way they look at it. So I go in there in these fields or acorn flats, and I make these scrapes. Well, once I get the scrape made, I hang a camera over it. Well, I wait about a week, 2 weeks. I'm gonna walk the edge of that field right back to that scrape, pull that card, put a new card in, and walk out. While I'm there, I'll refreshing that scrape. I get home, I look at my pictures, and I do that to take inventory of the buck. I want to see the bucks, and been getting a lot of young bucks. I hadn't really found a big buck yet this summer, but it's still a few months. I hunt in Alabama. Our bow season don't open until October, mid October, so I still got a while. But right now I'm looking for a buck to hunt, and once I find these bucks, I'll come home. I'll get on my Spartan Forge. If you don't have Spartan Forge, you can use Onyx. If you don't have Onyx, you can get on Google Earth. And I'll say, all right, right there's where I got my scrape made. And I know that deer's eating beans. I know he was eating corn. And here's the scrape. And then I pretend that deer season's already started. Them corn and beans more than likely is going to be gone because the farmers is going to come in and harvest it. And once it's harvested, that food, their food sources is going to change over the year. But I got something. I got that trail cam pick to go by. I'm like, all right. So here's this, say for instance, a 140-inch 10 pointer was right here back in August. I'm looking at the property. Where is he now? What what food source is key now? A lot of times it's oaks. So I look and I say, okay, there's an acorn flat over there, or there's a small wood lot that's got acorns in it. And I just start deleting everywhere, crossing it out to try to figure out where that deer is. Is that deer living here? And I'd probably say, well, it ain't got no cover for bedding. So then I start looking for the bedding area. When I find that bedding area, I ain't worried about scrapes no more. I just use those scrapes for inventory. I start hunting them down. Then I hunt them down, and then you start finding deer sign. And just because you're finding rubs and natural scrapes that the deer made, it don't mean you found that buck. You may He's got horns, so he's gonna make scrapes and rubs somewhere, but it may not be in his bedding area. His bedding area may not be a scrape, it may not be a rub, may not be nothing, and he'll be bedded in a good area. So you got to take where these mature bucks is bedding and go there, and then you can hunt down the deer you had on the camera, and you can find him that way. That's how I do it, making scrapes. Uh, Sometimes in the fall, I will make a scrape close to bedding, not right in the bed, but close enough to where if they smell the scent, or if they're walking through and they see the ground where it's been interrupted from where I rake back the leaves, they will walk over to check it just to say, hey, who did this? They'll walk over there and they'll hit that scrape. And then if I got a camera on it, you know, sometimes they'll start hitting them frequently during the daylight, and I have killed deer doing that, making mock scrapes. So it's a really good tool to use, guys. And you know, we got a lot of private land here in Alabama, and guys are out. They'll feed 2 or 3 thousand pounds of corn over the summer. Some of them feed more than that. Some of them feed 10,000 pounds. And they're getting all these trail pictures, and they're doing their high fives, and they're showing their trail cam pics and all that. But come fall, when acres drop, deer's gone. Now they're like, man, I don't know where my deer went. Well, brother, they don't have to come out there to where all that sin is. They don't have to come around that feeder anymore because they got natural foods that they want to eat anyway. So I think myself, you're better off having bedding than having the food uh, on private land. So if you own the land, or if y'all are leasing it, or if you're in a hunting club, those thick areas is going to be key. And if you're going to bait the deer, put the bait far away from the bedding as you can, and you can catch them traveling. You don't want the food too close to the bed, or the food, you know, right up against it, hunting over it every single day. You need to rotate stands and be mobile, and you can kill a lot of deer doing this. I've done it. When they first started baiting here, and I had probably, and I don't have any now. I got a little 20-acre parcel back here that I could hunt over, and I baited for the kids, and try to let them get one. But other than that, I don't care nothing about it. I like getting out on public land and hunting them down. I wasn't able to do much hunting last year because I was had some health problems, but this year I'm a lot better, and I really enjoy running trail cameras over scrapes. Man, the inventory, it feels so good that I can carry this right here and a camera, and I can get thousands of pictures, and I didn't have to carry 4 or 5 thousand pounds of corn on my back somewhere on some private piece, and have to worry about the neighbors shooting a deer. And people, the way they act over private land and fight over it and stuff, I ain't gonna be involved in it. I'd rather hunt public land any day, because people that I meet out on public land are 10 times nicer, and they're not. They're just trying to do what I'm trying to do. They're just out there, trying to get them a deer. And it's the fellowship and the brothership, meeting new people, traveling. I've travel hunted some, and hunted on public in different states, and I enjoyed it a lot. But I'll tell you guys, these scrape tactics, man, it's a whole different ball game. If you're even if it's your state doesn't allow you to use natural deer lures, this synthetic stuff will work just as good. Uh, there's other companies out there that make synthetics. Matter of fact, Brother Paul, he's got some synthetics. If you want to try out his synthetic line of lures, if your state don't allow it, you can actually use your own urine. You know, I've done it many a times. I didn't have anything. I just wanted a scent to be there. Deer don't know your urine from any other animal's urine. The human is a mammal, so we're all animals. We just a little bit smarter and at the top of the food chain. But you don't even have to pee it. You don't have to do anything. Just make the scrape. They'll see it. They'll come. They'll hit it. They don't have to smell it. They can see it. And that's one thing it took me a long time to realize. I'd be out there making scrapes, and I won't apply way too much scent, and I was using too much scent. It don't take but take you a Q-tip and dip it in and just tap the branches a little bit, the leaves hanging up over the licking branch, hanging over the scrape. It don't take a lot. They smell, man. They got a good nose on them, and they'll come in and then they apply their scent. Once they apply their scent to it, then another deer wants to apply theirs, and another, and then a trend begins, and then they just start using that scrape as if you know one of them created it when it was just me that created it. And there's certain places you, like I said, the deer tolerate you in a feeding area, just like when you're running these corn feeders out here and you got your camera over it. That deer's gonna let you walk in and out of there a million times and put corn in it, and then he's gonna show up in the middle of the night. Basically, all you're doing is getting inventory of the bucks that's in your area. It's the same thing that I'm doing, except I'm not using corn anymore. I'm not using bait anymore. I'm not going to do It's a waste of money. It's a waste of time. And most of the time, the neighbors ended up killing them when I was hunting private land. So I'm done with the private land part of it. Unless I got a big enough piece of private that I like being able to access properties from different areas. And going in by boat is a game changer. I like to hunt the river. I like to be able to use a boat. I like to be able to use a truck or a side by side. I like hunting the most acres that I can find. If you can find a parcel you can hunt that's 500, 600, 1,000, 2,000 acres, somewhere like that, using these scrape tactics that I'm telling you about, guys, you can get on some absolute giants. And you may not even see deer sign hardly. You just might see a little runway here or there, and you can hang a trail camera on it, make a scrape, and all of a sudden there he is. And you're like, oh my goodness, where did he come from? You won't even expect to see these deer. You're like, this looks poor. There ain't nothing here. You'll feel bad because you ain't got that old comforter blanket, of that corn feeder. You don't need that feeder, guys. That's the worst thing they ever did here in the state of Alabama was allow feeding and letting you hunt over it. It's hard because if you don't got enough land, usually your neighbors is going to benefit from it. If all you got's a field and a patch of woods and you got a corn feeder there, the young deer, yeah, they'll come in and out of there, but the older deer, they're gonna start coming in at night, and he's gonna bed somewhere else, which may be 2, 3 miles away. You don't know how far that deer traveled. You have no earthly idea. All he knows is now every piece of public or private land here has a feeder on it. And I thank God that they hadn't allowed feeding on our public land yet. Thank the Lord. It may come one day. I hope not, but it could come. And I think when it does come, it's just going to make it that much harder. And then you'll have guys out here fighting over, well, I put this corn on this spot of this public land. I'm glad they don't have it. Thank the Lord for it. But I'm not against the folks that want to hunt that way. But you still, if you're going to hunt that way, you need to rotate stands. I started back saddle hunting this year. The Lord helped me be healthy enough to get back in the tree with a saddle again. I run that outdoor made saddle that Brother TK makes. Just go with outdoor made and check him out, brother. He's got some good prices on there. He's got all kinds of equipment. He's a good guy. Uh, I really love that saddle. It's very comfortable and lightweight. It weighs right around 1 pound. So, and I run a 3 Lone Wolf sticks with some aiders, and I can get 18, 20 foot high, less than, it's about 6 pounds, 6 pounds set up. And I can just throw that in the boat right up the river and get out and scout these places that I'm talking about. And it's awesome to be more free, that I don't have to worry about, hey man, there's a property line. Here I did all this work, buck's bedding over yonder. What am I going to do? Then you just got to sit there and pray that he comes across your land in daylight. 9 times out of 10, he don't. But on public land, you can hunt him down. You can hunt him down. You just keep going and going and going and going. And I found something that a lot of these these big bean fields with small wood lots. There's a lot of deer in those little wood lots. And if you can come in from the right access, you can get in before the deer get into bed and get a shot at some of these deer. Or you could try to, it's hard to sneak up on a deer in a bed in a crop field because they lay in there watching the crop field. But if you can come in from a different angle or a different access point or come in from the river, I like hunting those crop fields butted right up to that Tennessee River. And when I find beans and corn butted up to that river and it's public and I can hunt it, you better bet your boots I'll be there. And I like to use those scrapes, like I said. And like, let's go back to the little small parcels of land I noticed the other day. I walked by a buck. He was probably 130 or 140 inches. And as I was walking by, I looked down this deer trail. I could see a big old deer trail. And I looked down that deer trail. It only went in about 100 yards, and about 50 yards down in there, I could see him laying there. And he watched me walk right on by him. Big buck. I walked right on by him. I didn't slow down and stop, look at him, make eye contact. I just glanced and I saw him and I kept on walking. And I went around there, and once I got past the bed and I stopped and I thought to myself, my goodness, what a buck. And I hadn't had that deer on camera yet. He was just laying there in the shade watching. But I didn't booger him and I didn't jump him or kick him out of the bed because I didn't sneak through there and stop and look and go, oh my goodness, don't ever do that. And when you're sneaking around farm country, if you're hunting farm country with ag fields, crop fields, move across these fields as fast as possible because they're used to seeing farmers out in these fields anyway. So when you go across these fields, go with a purpose. When you go from point A to point B, don't and if you do that, the deer are just gonna look. They'll watch you. As long as you don't stop or sneak or act crazy, they ain't gonna go nowhere. And getting your scent in these bean fields, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it because these deer are gonna be knocked. They may be out there and you can glass them from a distance. You can sit back over here 1,000 yards from the field, sitting in your truck, watching with your binoculars. You can do that, but you're going to get noticed. There's going to be people drive by, they're out looking for deer, and they see you glassing. Well, guess what? It's like, hey, he's glassing that field. The next thing you know, when you're not there, they're glassing it. And then I don't like to do it that way. That's why I use scrape tactics. Now, if you can have somebody like your wife or a friend drop you off, and you can sneak in and get in the field, get a good wind, maybe even go up a tree in your saddle or your tree stand a little bit, hang you a little small set where you can sit and watch these deer and you don't have people watching you, then that'll work. That'll work too. But it's so much easier for me to go in there and hang that mock scrape, hang a camera, and get all the pictures that I want. And we've got a product coming out, me and another guy has been working on. I've been testing it. It's really good. It's called G14. And I'm not going to get into a lot of details about it, but it's for scrapes. And it's a game changer, guys. It is an absolute game changer. I'm not trying to pitch it to you. I'm not trying to sell it to anybody or nothing like that. I'm going to have some guys field testing it, and we'll let them, give their testimonies about it and stuff like that. But anyway, it's G14-C4, and it's a patent number. So I don't know if what we're gonna call the product, but we probably just gonna call it G14 because that's the patent number and some copyright. We're using the same numbers to copyright some things. But anyway, get out here on these crop fields, guys. Make you some scrapes, hang you some cameras. I don't care if you use lures or not. Just make the scrapes, and the deer will come. They'll see them. They like to see it when they see that ground disturbance. They're gonna go over and check it out. And they'll check the licking branches up above it. I like to take me a pair of wire cutters and I'll barely snip the end of a good branch about the size of my finger, and then I'll maul it up, make them something to chew on. And when they see that, they'll reach up there and they'll apply their their glands that's in their mouth, and they'll rub their preorbitals and all the glands that's in their head, and they'll start chewing on that stick and make a licking branch for 'em. Fray it. Take your pliers and fray it real good to where it's all frayed out like a rope. And automatically they'll just reach up there and start gnawing on it. And then once you got one deer commit, it usually it's a little young buck that commits to a scrape. He'll go in and he'll work it. Well, when the big buck comes through, or a bigger buck, he's gonna smell that little buck like, hey man, what you doing working this scrape? He'll work it. And then the biggest one, eventually sees it and he's gonna go over and work it. And then they just start working it on their own. You don't have to apply no scent. Once they keep working it, you don't have to even go back. You can hang your camera there for 3 months and watch them. Hang it there all season. They're going to hit it all season. When the leaves fall, they'll clear them out. They'll keep this scrape going on their own. It becomes a part of their life, their everyday habits. But I wanted to get on here and talk about it this morning and how much success I'm having with getting pictures of bucks. And those does will even come in and check the scrapes. They'll rub their heads up in there too. And had a doe, she pawed the ground a little bit the other day. And people don't think doe works scrapes. Well, those do work scrapes. I'm here to tell you. I seen them do it. But I really enjoy making the scrapes. I enjoy public land. I enjoy hunting the river. I'm enjoying this is such a blessing this summer being to get out and scout and do things again. I ain't really been in no bedding areas. I ain't gonna mess with them. Here in Alabama, if you want to go get in a bedding area, we've got chiggers, we've got poisonous snakes, spiders, and ticks, and that's where the deer, they'll bed up in that junk. I'm not gonna go in there and crawl around and hunt for a deer bed this time of year. Best time to scout your deer beds, guys, is after deer season. Right after it ends, you can go in and you can find all your beds and mark them, this and that. But like I said, take your inventory, get you whatever you want to use. If you don't want to use anything, just make a scrape. Take your inventory. Once you got your inventory of the bucks, you'll notice, I would say every 2 weeks, go check your cameras. If you can't afford a cell phone camera, don't worry about it. You don't need one. It ain't gonna matter how much human scent you put in these crop fields. Them deer's still gonna come by and eat. You ain't gonna scare them off. They may just come later at night and eat and check scrapes. They're still gonna come. Don't worry about it, because you're not gonna be hunting there anyway. You know, don't worry about it, because those crops ain't gonna be gone. Those crops are gonna rotate over to where deer's gonna start feeding on acorns, or deer's gonna be feeding on persimmons, or deer's gonna be feeding on briars by the time the winter's over with. They'll be eating saw briars, honey locusts, and stuff like that. And we'll get into some of that stuff later on. But I noticed a lot this year. I've learned a lot. I've always knew it, but I didn't ever want to try it because I was one of those guys that wanted to be over here on the private land and I wanted to argue with everybody and throwing up corn feeders and this and that, trying to manage bucks, naming these bucks, giving them stupid names like the Hammer and the Slammer and Scorpion King or whatever. That's not for me. I just want to hunt a mature deer, one that is, you know, respectable animal. And if I see the biggest buck on a property, that's the one I'm gonna go after. But if a lesser deer comes in and he's say I got a Boone and Crockett deer on camera, I'm gonna try to hunt that deer down. But if I can't get that deer and there's a 130 coming in, I'm gonna get him because that's good. I'm a bow hunter, man. I love to bow hunt, and when I'll take a 130-inch deer all day long with a bow. That's Pope and Young, you know. I don't really care about the record books a lot. I don't really care about the score a lot. I want to know that I am hunting a mature animal. I can go hunt and tag out on spikes and 4 pointers in the first month if I want to. You know, I ain't bragging or anything, but those young deer are not that smart and they're easy to kill. When they get around that 3-year-old range, they get smarter. And then when they get older, they kind of get a little bit more, not dumb or anything, but you take one from 3 to 4, I think that's when they're the smartest. But they're young, they're more agile, and they're real smart, and it's hard to get those deer. You get one 5, 6, 7, 8 later years, they let their guard down a little bit later on in life. Because they're old and over the hill. They don't want to move as much. They're older. They get, just like us when we get old. You know, you can't do the things that you once did. He may still have that big 170-inch rack, but he's old. When he's 7, 8, 9 years old, he's not going to get out and move as far as these 3 or 4 year olds. Those deer are smart, and they travel a long ways. You take a 4-year-old deer, he's a 140, 150-inch deer. He'll always travel 3 or 4 miles. Be over here in the summertime, and over here in the fall and winter when it's time to hunt him, he may be 3 or 4 miles away. And there's all that preparation these guys did with their feeders and all their stuff that they did, and it's gone. Then they're looking for a deer to hunt. Then they'll wait till a rut. Sometimes if you got enough does, he might come back through. A lot of times he don't. You end up selling for a lesser buck that was on than what you wanted. But on public property and large properties with large lands or counties or cities that have large properties that are public that you can hunt a deer down. Because if I got 5 miles, I can go this way and hunt, or 5 miles this way, or 5 miles, or whatever. You know, it gives you more of an advantage, and I like that, and I enjoy it. And I like the access from the water. I like the access from sides, from hill country. I don't mind taking a four-wheeler in or a side by side if it's allowed, or hiking in even. You do what you got to do to get the deer. But that's about all I want to talk about, guys. It's scrapes can be an amazing tool if you use them. Don't be scared to use your scrapes. Make those mock scrapes. Make a few little mock rubs. I don't care much about rubs. Rubs I have never really told me nothing except there's a buck there. There's a buck here. If it's a big rub, little rub. I read in a article one time that one buck could make 4,000 rubs in a season. So some people walk in and you see 70 rubs in one little spot. A lot of times that's just a deer where he's not bedding far. He'll make a bunch of rubs right in there. Could be the same deer, could be 10 bucks, could be 7 bucks, maybe 1 buck. But one thing's for sure, if they've got horns, they're gonna rub. So anyway, you guys take care. Love each and every one of you. If you would, please like and subscribe. Uh, we're growing this channel. It's getting better. Got some reviews on here. We've got tactics on here. This year we're gonna film every hunt that we have. I don't know how many it's gonna be because we got work, we got church, we got everything else just like everybody else. We got responsibilities too, but we're gonna do our best to bring you some good content. Like I said, we love each and every one of you. You take care and God bless. Have a beautiful week, and use those mock scrapes, guys. See you guys.